guys. My name is Brady, and I am Sweet and True's Director of Professional Sugaring Development. And here with me, we have a very special guest today. This is our Best Sugarist of the Year winner. So we are so excited to have her. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Miss Madison.
Hi, I'm Madison Collie. I am Sugarist of the Year.
Yay!
And
So exciting.
yeah, it's been like such an honor to be recognized after 9 years in the industry and sugaring being um my main service that I offer, that I specialize in.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful and happy to be
I was gonna
here.
say, what does it feel like to hold the first title? It's like so exciting.
I think I'm still a little bit in shock.
Yeah,
But really it just is so indicative of the work that I've put in over the last 9 years
yeah.
and the connections that I've made. And it's just a really good blue ribbon on all of it, just everything that I've done. So
I love it. So you said you've been in the industry for like 9 years. When did you kind of start sugaring? What got you into sugaring? Kind of where did that journey start?
So I had been into beauty forever. I think I was like 4 years old doing little Claire's makeup kit.
Aren't we all, right?
And
Look, I
yeah,
want the lip gloss.
just obsessed with glitter. And eventually, like over the years, I started to focus more on my skin and how horrible it was. And I wanted to know how to fix it on my own. Everything I tried wasn't working. So that's when I looked into esthetician school. After that, I just looked into what estheticians could offer, and I found Jessa's Sugar. Back in the day, she was making YouTube videos,
I love
and
it. Old
I
school.
yeah, and it just kind of called to me. So I found a school that was just a private independent esthetician school, and they offered sugaring as part of their course. So I got really lucky for that to just be included in my education.
Yeah.
And then while I was in school, my teachers just kept complimenting me, my technique. I heard many times that I picked it up faster than they even did.
Wow.
And before I
So you're
even
just a
graduated,
natural.
truly,
I love it.
and before I could even graduate, I was being offered roles at the school to be an educator.
That's
But
incredible.
I wanted to give myself the opportunity to just practice in the real world, get some experience in the treatment room, and work out all my kinks before I just went directly into teaching.
Yeah.
So here I am.
I love that. That's so exciting. So speaking of teaching, we have a fun announcement to make on this little podcast. I may or may not have roped Miss Madison in. She is going to now be our Washington educator. So for those of you guys listening to this who are going to want to take a sugaring class or maybe don't even know you want to take a sugaring class, Madison is now going to represent Sweet and True as well. So we're so happy to have you on board. It's going to be so good, so exciting. So now you get to fulfill even more of that teaching that just kind of unraveled from you winning this award and us connecting. And I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I feel like nothing's an accident. So
A
I'm
hundred percent.
definitely, we were meant to meet,
Yes,
and
you
I'm
are.
really looking forward to the future.
The minute I called you for a Zoom call, I'm like, yep, we're gonna be best friends. I already know.
Yeah.
I'm like, we vibe.
Yeah.
We vibe. It's good energy, good vibes. I feel like with you kind of diving into that role now of teaching, what do you feel like could have been better or different in like your personal experience? I know you said you picked it up rather quickly, but what do you feel like lacked when you learned, and what do you want to bring into what you offer when you teach?
I think something that I wish I could have gotten better experience with is the size of the class. It was a pretty
Mm,
large class, and
yeah.
I
How
feel like
many students would you say were in it?
I think there was 8 of us,
Yeah, that's
which
pretty
for
big.
one teacher, one
That's a
educator
lot.
at the time, that's a lot to focus
Uh-huh.
on. I
100%.
I feel like with sugaring, it's easy to kind of get lost in doing the wrong thing because as long as you're removing the hair, then that's all the teacher is kind of walking around and doing.
Yeah, rather than
So
correcting like the little things like hand placement, how fast you're detaching, like all of those little
yes,
technical skills that really make a massive difference.
exactly. And a lot of my peers in class too were just breaking hairs and getting
Mhm.
really discouraged. And so, something that I really want to bring into my class is being able to have that one on one experience or
Yeah.
that more intimate experience to, set people up for success earlier on.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I agree with that 100%. I always cap my classes at 6 max, and I still always have them in the same room at the same time, working on each other. Or like I have classes set up, such a specific way to really ensure that I am able to give each individual a quality education. And I feel like when you start getting into those higher numbers, especially when you're talking about doing like advanced techniques like female Brazilians and eyebrows and a little bit more technical stuff, you really need to have like all eyes on each other. And I feel like if you get above trying to watch like 3 people do it at a time, that's where it really does start to get like people get lost and they start getting
Yeah.
frustrated, but the educator doesn't even see why they might be getting frustrated. So I think that is such a good thing to think about. And I love that you brought that up because it sounds like you picked it up naturally, which is so awesome because there are people that just start to kind of pick it up quicker. But when people start
Yeah.
struggling and they're not picking it up quickly, it can be really discouraging really fast. And so it's one of those things
Yes.
that as educators, it's our job to pinpoint, oh, girl, you just didn't, go all the way past when you went to drop your hand to flick. That's why this happened. Like, but if you don't catch those things, then people just kind of spiral pretty quickly of I don't think this is for me, I don't like it. So I think that's super good that you can recognize that, so that'll really help you when you are teaching because you already have that ability, you already know what it feels like to learn, but now you're
Yeah.
getting to help others be like, "Hey, let's kind of get down to like the little nitty-gritty," because it is, I feel like with sugar it's all of the little things. It's really the small details.
Yes, it is. And
Yeah.
I feel like being able um to watch a student and see where they're maybe falling short on understanding a certain thing
Mhm.
or knowing how to better explain something.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really big skill to have, and it's really important to just
Absolutely.
inspire people that like they can do it even if they didn't get it right the first time. They
Totally.
can
If I
just
did not try hard after my class, because I did not have the best experience, I loved my educator, but I just feel like I didn't get that like continued eyes on me, helping me through it. It was very much just kind of figure it out. And
yeah.
she did the best she could, but I feel like it wasn't clicking. And I feel like there was so many moments after I left that class where I was like, absolutely not. I'm not sugaring because I would get
Yeah.
stuck. It was messy. My first Brazilian I did was in that class day one on my poor mother. My poor
Oh my
mom was
god.
willing to be my model, and I was like, Mom, like I'm gonna just, destroy you twice down here. So that was fun. And it was horrible. Like I felt awful. She was in pain, and I felt like I wasn't getting like enough direction. And I think it's important to know that, you learn different than I learn. Someone else might learn different than both of us. So I feel like as an
Yeah.
educator, it's being in tune to that and being like, what does this person need right now? And how can I, get that point across? So I think that's great. Yeah, the small grouping I think is really cool.
I
What
agree.
was your first experience when you got sugared? Was that during like the class you took? Had you had any personal experience with it prior to school? What did that look like for you?
So I had never gotten sugared until we were learning it in school. And we learned it after waxing, which I think really further helped me fall in love with sugar
It's almost
because,
kind of like not to crap on wax, but like a little bit. It's kind of like, oh, here's wax. Your skin's kind of red and angry. Here's sugar. Do you see how it came off in one pass?
and there's no like residual pain
Yep.
after. And
Yeah.
yeah, soft wax was just torture. But
Yeah.
that's my experience.
Totally, totally. No,
And
I
so
agree.
I got my legs sugared in school, and I was definitely too scared to get my Brazilian done. But I will never forget my first Brazilian. Getting it done, I felt like the baddest bitch on
Oh my
earth.
God, I love it.
I felt
Isn't
like
it like a
Superwoman.
freeing experience? You're literally like,
Yes,
I am a new woman. Like, I can
yes,
conquer the world now.
I did that. And nobody knows what's going on down here except me, which
You're
is
right. It's
just
almost
like,
like a little secret. You're like, ooh,
yes. No one
like
knows
new
I'm the hottest
confidence
bitch right
boost.
now.
Oh my God, I love that. So, with your first Brazilian experience, had you been sugaring for a while and then went to like a fellow sugarist, or what was like that experience? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I actually had been sugaring for a while. I would say maybe everyone's gonna hate me, but like 3 or 4 years into my
Yeah,
career, my
yeah.
first Brazilian
Hey, you know, girl,
that
there's
I
no
got.
shame. People, I feel like, whether you're 17 or 70, I feel like people can have their first experience. And the other thing is, it can sometimes be a really bad first experience. And that doesn't necessarily make people want to do it again. But I feel like if you know the craft, I feel like you're more likely to kind of know just like how it goes. And you can kind of almost talk yourself through it the way you would a client, where you're like,
Yeah,
girl, it's going to be fine. Like, just one more pull. And you're just like, but it's not one more.
you're lying,
It's
but I
not.
love you.
My first Brazilian experience, girl, I did it myself with
How?
with sugar, not even wax. So there was
Oh my
no helping me
God.
here. I remember I literally was like 18. I was a baby and I was just like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I know how, like, I'm gonna do it. I literally was like in my bedroom with like a towel under me and I'm like, I got it. I literally did the first pull and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. I don't really know. Like, and no one can come and pull it
Mistakes
for
were
me.
made.
I was like, yeah, mistakes were made. Let's just say I got through like 80% of it. Like, I was pretty proud of myself, but I was like, yeah, I think I like once I got like to the butt, my adrenaline was so like I was so fatigued mentally and physically that then
Yes.
I kept getting, and you know how like if you've ever tried to sugar your own butt, girl, it is not an I mean, no one should bend that way, first off. And if you can, good for you. But I
Yeah.
feel like to get that flick right and not get stuck, I was like a contortionist, like on my bed, like knees to my chin, like trying to flick the sugar. I remember my mom, I was living with her at the time because I was a baby, and she was like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
Don't come in.
I was like, don't come in. You're gonna see some things you can't unsee. But I feel like that helped give me kind of a perspective though of like what to do and what not to do. I think there's
Yeah.
no better way than kind of figure not I'm not saying anyone should go do their own Brazilian at home, but I'm just saying I feel like getting a really good idea of like, oh, I felt that drag too fast. I felt that pull. Oh,
Yeah.
I really have to commit to my flicks or it's going to be significantly more uncomfortable. So I feel like to some degree, sugaring anything on yourself is super helpful in the beginning because you really do get to feel like what you're almost doing wrong and kind of being able to like correct it. Did you ever have any experiences like that where you were doing like your own leg or your own arm or something and you
Oh,
were like,
yeah.
oh, and kind of realized like, oh, I need to adjust that?
Yeah, definitely sugaring my own legs has really taught me how I used to try and move just as fast as possible. Just get
Yeah,
it
and kind of like
done.
rip through and get it done.
Yes. And then it would hurt and be
Yeah.
really uncomfortable and I would be sweaty. So I just imagined my client just
Yeah.
having an uncomfortable experience. That's the whole point of sugaring for me is to create a comfortable
Right,
experience.
right.
So
And
it
really
taught me a
make
lot.
Yeah, and I feel like it's crazy because you realize like, oh, it isn't wax. I can't just push it along as fast as I want to move. You kind of have to listen to it and let it guide you of, oh, okay, I'm the one controlling the sugar, but maybe the sugar I picked can't move as fast as I would want it to without causing
Yes.
discomfort. And I feel like that's where all of those little things kind of sprinkle into being a seasoned professional and then being able to give that information to your students and really getting them to understand like, hey, it's not a one size fits all. It's not you just reach in and you start going and you start cruising. You might have to adapt along the way. If your client's getting hot, you might need to slow down a little or speed up a little bit so that way, you're not getting stuck, and vice versa. If they're really cold and, the sugar's just not wanting to, move along, maybe you need to get a different pace that's a little bit warmer or softer consistency to actually move instead of being like, okay, this is taking 10 years for me to mold
Yes.
this and my hand feels like it's
Yes.
gonna break.
That part. Nobody talks about
No,
how much it impacts your hand and
yeah.
your fingers and your wrist and
Totally.
everything.
Totally. And those are habits I feel like at the beginning you just don't think about because you're just so focused on trying to like get it on and get it off that that's
Yeah.
when like those little details come into play of like choose a softer pace so your hand's not working hard. Curl your fingers so your fingers aren't like, all crazy spider fingers trying to like manipulate in weird ways. But I feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting when you start working on yourself. You're like, oh, okay, this is different, but it's a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
What is like one moment throughout your sugaring journey or your career? Because even though you said like in the beginning you kind of were just a natural, which I love, it's sometimes that's almost negative, I feel like, if somebody like is really good in class or at the beginning, because then I feel like when they get stuck for the first time and it's not really early on, it's almost like sometimes like gut-wrenching, right? It's almost kind of like, oh God,
Yeah.
like did I lose my flow? Like what's going on here? What was like one moment that you kind of had a little bit of a setback of like, oh shoot, like what just happened? Like, what was a moment that made you want to kind of like step back or almost give up, or maybe you were just really discouraged? What did that moment look like for you?
There's two that come to mind.
I'm like, there's always
So,
a good one. There's always one that sticks out where you're just like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, what's going
yeah.
on?
If I could only go back and comfort like that version of me and be
Right.
like, just keep going,
It's
girl.
okay.
Got this. But when I was in beauty school, my first client in the treatment room on the floor was a full body wax.
Mm, mhm.
Underarm,
Oh,
full arm, Brazilian, and full leg.
I'm sorry. I don't
And
care how professional you are. No one wants to do that.
no,
I don't care
no,
how good you are. Nobody enjoys. I mean, if you're out there, you let me know. But I've been doing it 9 years. I still would not want to do like head to toe full body like in one sitting
no.
on the one person. Like no.
Especially first time Brazilian, first time full
For
leg.
first time for all.
Yes,
Oh, what did you
yes,
sign up? That's like getting a full arm sleeve in one sitting and not having a tattoo.
yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, continue.
So, first we started with some sort of wax. I don't
Yeah,
remember all the
yeah,
details, but inevitably or eventually it ended up taking, I think, 6 hours.
yeah.
We used all three different types of hair removal. So,
So sugar, hard
soft
wax.
wax,
Oh
yes,
my
soft wax, hard wax, and sugar.
God.
I was sweating, the girl was sweating. We needed to take a break for lunch. Like it was just
Uh,
horrendous. And I just
yeah.
remember wanting to quit and looking at my teacher, just tears in my eyes, like I'm failing. And
Yeah.
I'm failing this client by being really like taking a long time and by being inconsistent. And those things really got into my head. And my
Yeah.
teacher just reminded me, you're learning, it's
Yeah.
okay. She knows what she signed up for.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so hard, right? I feel like I've gotten that a lot, like with teaching so many Brazilians over the years. Doing them, you get so accustomed to almost like not tuning out people's pain, but kind of, right? It's almost
Yeah.
like I'm such an empath that at first it was really hard for me to like, inflict pain on somebody. But I think you have to like really get in that mindset of like they signed up for this. I'm gonna be kind to them and I'm gonna get them in and I'm gonna get them out. But you can't like baby a client too much. And I think that's like one
Yes.
of the hardest parts when you're teaching people how to do Brazilians is they want to be very kind to where they're not being aggressive enough that it's actually causing more pain.
Yes.
And a lot of times I have to like literally like hold their shoulders and be like, look at me. You're doing good. You have to just commit to your foot. Like, you're gonna be okay. I promise. Like, it's actually gonna hurt her worse if you're hesitating because you don't want to hurt her. And they're like, okay. And then, like, they'll get a really good flick in and they're like, oh, yeah, that barely hurt. And they're like, really? Okay. And I'm like, you just have to have that confidence of knowing
Yes.
that, they signed up for this. You know what you're doing, and to not let other people's emotions like trip your skill level up, because I think it's so easy to get discouraged like that day that you were having that, tough time. You know
Yeah.
your client was getting fatigued. They were in pain, and it wasn't because of you. It's just their body's natural response. But I feel like that does take a toll on us when we're working for the first time on someone's full body. You're just
Yeah.
like, I'm uncomfortable. I want to sit. I want to smack. Like,
And to continue to be like, I'm sorry,
right.
that becomes, it kind of sets the tone for your client's experience
I literally
because,
tell my students, do not apologize. If they're like,
yes,
oh, sorry, I'm like, what'd you say? What was that? No, no, no.
you're
We don't
getting a break.
apologize around here. Yeah, I'm like, absolutely not. You should say you're welcome, okay?
Yes, truly.
What is like the biggest piece of advice that you would give a future sugarist in the making, or somebody maybe that wanted to go into aesthetics and do hair removal? What's like that one piece of advice that you wish you could tell younger Madison?
Oh man.
I know it's a hard question.
I feel like there's not a lot of obvious people to look up to when it comes to hair removal.
Yeah,
If you're a hairstylist, I'm sure you can name 5 people on TikTok off the top of your head
sure.
that you love. Tattoo artists,
Mhm.
there's not a lot of people who are like the waxer.
Yeah,
Now there are, but maybe,
yeah.
5 years ago that wasn't as common.
Mhm.
Um, so I think if it doesn't exist yet, it's okay to make your own path.
I love that.
And it's
I love
okay to
that.
stand out. And I think that what you bring to the treatment room that's different than everyone else is you.
I
And
love
the more
that.
authentic you are, the more your people will find you.
I love that. Oh, that was so beautifully worded. I feel like that is such an inspirational message because it's not only to like younger Madison, but it's to so many young estheticians out there, or even more
Yeah.
mature estheticians, because people sometimes decide later on that they want to, go pursue it. I think it is easy to want to get in kind of that cookie cutter lifestyle, right? Of like, oh, they're doing speed waxing, so I want to do speed waxing. They use this wax, so
Yeah.
I want to use it. And I think it's so true to really set yourself apart and be you. People end up sticking with their people because of them, not because of, you know, them using pink wax, or, them using, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like people really do bond, especially when you're doing intimate services like Brazilians and things like that. People really do bond with their esthetician. And if you make them feel comfortable and your vibe is a comfortable, happy space for them, you could honestly probably not even be good at what you do. They're still probably going to come to you. What really amplifies that is if you're good at what you do, but you also have that calming presence, that integrity behind it, that's
Yeah.
going to set you apart as an esthetician. And a lot of times I think people get scared, like, oh, there's so many people that do it. Yeah, but there's only one of you. And I think a lot of people
Yes.
forget that. And, people are like, oh, why would you want to educate? Isn't that going to take away business from you? And I'm like, no. I'm like, if anything, the people I train are like, hey, I want to get it done by the best. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
to her. It's like, there's enough for everyone to go around, but there's only one Madison. There's only one Brady. And I think people need to remember that when getting into this field. Set
Yeah.
yourself apart. Get into your craft, hone it in, and put your own little flair on it. Put your own little spin on it that makes it uniquely you. And I think people really love that.
Exactly. Exactly. And the bonds that I've created too are so mutual.
Yeah.
It's so fulfilling, I think, for the both of us. And
Yeah.
every client that comes in, I swear is just my best friend. Like
Yeah.
I've been in someone's wedding. I've
Oh, I
I've
love
like
that.
hosted baby showers for some of my
Right?
clients or babysat and gone to holidays.
I
And
love that.
it's just the intimacy of it all
Mhm.
is so unique and so special to me.
And I agree with that. I think a lot of times in the industry, it's kind of that taboo topic where I feel like when I learned it, like in school, like out of the, Milady aesthetics book, it was very much like stressing the importance of having like client boundaries and like relationship boundaries. But I think to some degree, when you do what we do, it is kind of like being an unlicensed therapist. And I think if you
Yeah,
have the right, and that's not for everyone, and that's okay. There are service providers that like to just provide services, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. But
for
I think if
sure.
you're somebody that is that very much people person, that empath, that person that really wants to get to know people, it can be the most rewarding two-way street where it really is just like you get almost, sometimes I unload slightly on my clients that are like my friends, right? I'm not trauma dumping, but I'm like, oh, girl, they're like, how are you? And I'm like, well, I spilled my coffee this morning and my first client was late. Glad I have you. And you know what I mean? It's like you
Yeah,
really get to build those connections. And I think that is something that is so special. One of my questions I was going to ask you was what is your favorite part of being in this industry and working in the field that you do? And I feel like that kind of answered it. But did
yeah.
you have anything else to add to that, or was that kind of the answer? Is like the people part of it?
I think that definitely is the biggest part of it that
Yeah.
that keeps me going. There's so many good and positive parts of it though. I mean, just the doors that it's opened up for me both professionally and personally are the biggest reward.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. The last question that I want to ask you today is a good one. I want to know your craziest story. And I know you probably have many. So I want to know like the top, just like, what the hell am I doing right now? Like, what just happened? What is like one story that really sticks out, whether it's a Brazilian story, a client story in general? Like, what is one of just the craziest times that you're like, is this reality right now?
Um, I hate to air out a client's dirty laundry. Um, but if you are getting a Brazilian done, please shower
Yeah.
and please make sure you're tidy in the rear because I'm not a nurse.
Right?
That is beyond my scope and it's really unsanitary. So I think just all of the horror stories I have involve a little something something left
A little
behind.
extra, a little something hanging out for later.
Yeah. Um, always
Uh-huh.
right before or
Yeah.
after lunch too. So
Yeah. No, and it's that thing where as a professional, you have to handle those moments, right? We're
yes.
human, right? So it's like if someone farts on my table, it's hard not to laugh, but I feel like as a professional, like you have to just, get in that mindset. And I feel like unfortunately, that is the harsh reality of our job is there are a lot of moments like that where you would think like, oh,
Yeah.
people are coming in for this or they're a regular, they know like the drill. But you would be surprised how many estheticians have these similar stories where it's just like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, okay, wasn't expecting that. But I feel like,
Yeah.
it's life. It happens, but
Yeah.
definitely it's not a fun moment when it does.
There are things that come along with the territory, like working
Yes,
on clients who are on their period. I am
totally.
so comfortable with
Me
that.
too.
You
Me
can't
too.
control it, and it's
Right.
just the time of the month.
Totally.
Discharge is completely normal. Having
Right.
ingrowns that start bleeding during a
Right.
service are normal.
Normal.
But anything that
But
has
having
to
a
do
little
with the
extra stuff
rear,
hanging out is not necessarily a need to have.
no, and it's just unsanitary and
Yeah,
unsightly, and
totally.
yeah.
Right. And I
So
feel like
I
you're right. You
actually,
never want to make your client feel uncomfortable. Like, obviously, it's so
yes,
embarrassing. So, like, obviously, in the treatment room, I know I've handled it professionally. I'm sure you have too. But, like,
for sure.
off the moment, like how we're talking about it now, in your head, you are just like, how do you not know that this is a thing right now? Like, how do you not
Yes,
know that that's there? Like,
right.
I don't know. I don't know.
So I went to Miami years and years ago and went to an improv comedy show.
Yeah.
And I actually got pulled up on
Oh
stage
my
and they asked me a similar question like, what do
God.
you do for work? What's the craziest story
You're
you
like, I
have?
wax booty holes.
Yep. And at the time, I was really scared to share, that
Yeah.
experience. So I'm glad that you asked me about it now. So
Yeah.
I can
I
get it
feel
out of
like
my system.
I feel like we gotta like get the taboo out of there, right? It's no
Yeah,
harm on our clients. I'm sure if I had been getting waxed for years, who knows, right? Like stuff happens, but I
sure.
do think you can make light of it and you can make jokes of it, right? Because some people might be like, "Oh, hell no, I am not doing this. Get out of my treatment room." Whereas I'm just like, okay, in my head, I'm like, how am I gonna like make my client comfortable but like fix this
Yes,
situation? And like you
yes.
just do it, right? Like it's literally just it's part of your job where in your head you're just like, okay, this is why I get paid the big bucks. This is why this service costs what it does,
This is why I'm
right?
Sugarist of the Year.
This is why I'm sugars of the years because I clean up on aisle two. So
I feel seen, Brady.
you are so sweet, Madison. I love it. No, it's all good stuff. I'm so excited to have you as our sugarist of the year, and I'm so excited to see all the amazing things that you continue to do. I'm so happy that we have you as an educator and can't wait to get that live and rolling so people have the opportunity to learn from you. It's such a flex to be the best of the best, right? It's like you're not in this position just by accident. It's definitely everything's meant to be. So we're so happy to have you, and I'm so glad we got to do this today.
Thank you so much. It truly means a lot. And I feel like even though that this has been 9 years in the making, I truly feel like this is only the beginning of just a new chapter. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I can't wait to continue to get to know you. You're such a bright light, and we're just stoked to have you. So, thank you so much, Madison, for joining me today, and we'll see you guys next time.